I'm going to show you how to evenly space coil knots. And let me tell you a couple of things about this. These beads are 10 millimeter round, using a 1.5 millimeter leather, and the color is called Kanza. And let's see, these beads this is an African turquoise. And this ring that I'm using, it has a 4.5 millimeter hole. I mean, you don't have to use this exact ring, but as long as it's got, because it just worked, for the bail work here. And this pendant, of course, I have it in under my pendant section. But anyway, I want to just give you a quick a tip. This used 100 inches of leather. But let's say you want to make something longer or shorter, and you just don't know. But one way to calculate the amount of leather that you'll need for, I mean, literally like any project, even if it's like overhand knots, or I'm going to measure 12 inches. It just works for just a variety of different like calculations. So what I do is I take like a 12-inch piece of the cord, and then I make one coil knot. So, and let me I'm just going to make one, just so I'll get into like how to space them in just a second, but this is just so you know how to calculate the amount of cord that you're going to need. So I'm going to make one, here's one knot, and then when you remeasure it, you're like, okay, now it's right at 10 inches. So that means it took 2 inches. 2 inches, that's a lot. That's incredible. 2 inches of cord to make one knot. And then if you just want to be on the safe side, you could like make like 2 or 3, and just every time you make one, it should be reduced by about 2 inches of cord. But anyway, for this one, what I did is I started at the beginning and then I ended at the beginning. So what I did first was I put a ring on, and I connected it using a barrel knot. But usually I make my barrel knots like 3 coils around, but on this one I made it 4, and that's because I know that I was going to need to put glue in there, and I wanted it to be extra like strong. So since I'm doing a 4, I'm gonna measure out about 6 inches of cord. See, so that's the short tail end. And then I'm going to clip this in here, and then I'm going to put that in the back. And if you're not familiar with the barrel knot, or I also call it the moose knot, so you have a pin and a clip 1 inch apart. And then you take this part, and then you start wrapping. This right here is already considered one of the coils. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then I'm just gonna like hold it. I just put my fingers around the coil just to like stabilize it, and then take the peg out. And then this little tail here, you're gonna feed it in. There's gonna be a space in here, and you're going to feed it in all the way through, just like that. And we are going to tighten this. Okay, okay, so now this part, so when you start to, okay, you have it tightened, then you're gonna slide it. And before you slide it all the way, we're going to need to put like a little bit of glue right in here, and then pull it the rest of the way in. And, trying to, let me pull this a little bit more. I mean, and where, the exact placement of the glue, it's going to depend on if you want like a big ring in there or a small ring. And then we have this stuff. Oh boy. I mean, this glue is really good, but it is tricky. So I'm going to like right in, so I'm going to put some right in there. And then I'm going to tighten this. What it does is it kind of like pulls the glue into the loop. All right, so now Guys, I'm gonna have to deal with getting this lid back on, so you just bear with me. Oh, I did it. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's a miracle. Yeah, because this stuff can be like tricky. Okay, so now we've got that nice and tight. I want to make sure and pull everything nice and snug. And what I like to use to cut this tail end off, cuticle scissors, and just buy the cheapest ones you can get your hands on, because they don't need to be like expensive. So what I do is I come in to the leather and just make sure you don't nick the coil or the other side. I just come in and just clip it. See, so you get a nice flush, and which is going to be important, because when you start putting your beads on, if you have like a little tail sticking out, then it's gonna make your first bead crooked. So now at this point, I'm gonna measure 100 inches. So let me do that here. I've got a ruler. So there's 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. Okay, so right there. All right. And the I'm going to be using pearls for this. And if you, one other tip that I have, I mean, I know that the cord is long and you're just like, oh, it's like, it's manageable, but if you're making something longer, starting from the middle is a good idea. And I've done that a lot of times, but if you do start from the middle, your 100 inches is going to need to turn into like 120, because when you get to the end, you're just going to need that extra cord. So then, as you can see here, the my next knot is a triple. So I start doing the triples. So in the way, this is really interesting. This is like really important, because these knots, they're not like your regular knot. As you're tightening them, you need to kind of like twist them. So I'm going to put this one right into the pearl. And see, I have it like I'm pulling it all the way and putting a little bit of tension on it. So this, see how it's nice? The pearl is nice and tight. And then what I do, let's get this long cord, is I hold a clip like at an angle, and then I wrap around the pearl. I mean, this is literally going over the pearl. See that? I'll do it again. Nice and clipped right in here. You hold your peg, and then you just wrap it. And then once you get your 3 coils, there's 1, 2, and 3, you just hold this part. Just make sure everything is nice and you can hold it. And then you need to take this end. Oh, let's find that end. You want to get, when it's long like this, it's a little bit like tricky, but there it is, right there. So let's pull this out and then feed the end through. Whoops, we need to get rid of that. Yeah, that's one thing about, I mean, I don't care this, even though it's a little bit cumbersome, the end result is worth it. So now what you need to do is you need to start like, I'm pulling, see how with this hand, I'm pulling and I'm twisting. See right there, see how I'm pulling and I'm squeezing, because what you don't want is, because if you just pull it, 2 things are going to happen. Your knot's going to end up over here. And the other thing that can happen is your rings like start like overlapping on each other, and they don't lay where they're supposed to. So you're just going to squeeze and twist and like, see, this is getting like more into the, you twist it with your fingers and then pull. See that? Perfect. Now this is the interesting part. Okay, so now I'm going to like space it, and make sure that your clip doesn't move. Okay, so I'm going to I'm just going to do like, you could use the 1-inch mark anywhere on the board. So you just kind of have to like eyeball it. So let's just say right there. So I'm going to, there's an inch right there. So right at this part right here, you clip it. And then, let me, I think I could do that without having to stabilize, because when it gets longer, this next side needs to be stabilized. But now you're going to come in here, and when you make your coil knot, you hold your peg like this, and this is coil number 1. So when you come back, see how I'm wrapping it like over? Oh my goodness. You just want to make sure that it's close as possible to the clip. And then there's 1, 2, and then there's number 3. And then you take this out and leave it in the clip. That's very important, because we're going to be using that clip to tighten. It's going to hold be like a placeholder for where the knot ultimately lands. So remember before how, I tightened this one up to the pearl. Now this one, you're going to like do the same thing, but you're going to tighten it up to the clip. See that? And this one, when you make this one, it doesn't require as much like twisting. So there you have it. So when you take this out, see how it's a little bit over an inch. But so if you want it to actually be an inch, then just measure just a bit, make it a little bit less. So then I come in here and then I put a pearl on, or whatever bead you're going to be using. And these pearls are 10, I think they're about 10 millimeters as well. So you could use pearls or any other, large hole bead. And then you clip this in. Remember, I'm pulling to make sure see the pearl or the bead, there's no wiggle in there. And if you want to like stabilize this side, you can just put another clip in there. And if you're concerned about your leather getting marred, you can get like a piece of scrap paper, fold it in half, and just put it in there. Just like that. And then you repeat the step. So I'm going to come in here, and remember when you're doing the pearl, you want to wrap like right on top of the pearl. I'm just going to bring all this out. Sometimes when you're making like bracelets and necklaces with lots of cord, like a tornado, everything in its wake gets like taken with it. Okay, so now I have it stabilized. I'm going to take this out and then feed this end through. And as you're working, it does get a lot faster. I mean, as this cord gets shorter, it just gets faster. So I'm going to come in here and right there. Now this part, I'm just going to squeeze and pull. See that right here? Just kind of grab it. It's kind of, you have to do like a quirky, like twisty, twist, pull, twist. And see that? So that you get it nice and like really nice and snug. So now we're going to do the like spacing. So an inch apart. We're going to hold that right there. We're going to mark this right there. And then I'm going to, I'm not gonna just make sure and just be consistent. I didn't want my, and then this doesn't have to, this could be anywhere. We could move it here if we want. And then, because this next, this peg here, the one that we stabilize it with, it's always going to be moving. Okay, so I'm going to clip this in here, flip this over, and then do the next one. Oh no, that's wrong. Right on this side. So you hold that right here, and when you twist, see how I did that? It's like a, so instead of, you don't want to, you're not doing this. You are, yeah, you have to get that put the peg right here, and then wrap. There's 3. And then make sure that you like bring it all, because there have been times where, you know, at this point I feed it through, but it has to be on this side to get that 3rd wrap in there. And then when you take it off, it only has 2 wraps. So let me find the end. Hold it, take this out, and then feed this through. And then you just squeeze and pull, twist until it's nice and snug up to the peg. And what you do is you just keep repeating those steps. And if you want it longer, you just make the space bigger. If you want it shorter, the spacing to be shorter, you just, you know, adjust for that. So I'm going to finish doing the knotting, and I will be back, and I'm going to show you in part 2 how to add the pendant. Okay, so once you've done all the beads, you get to the last one. So you make your triple. Now we need to, the last one, it's going to be a quadruple. So let's take this guy. And this, you need it on standby because I'm going to show you how to go back through. And also, make sure and have your GS Hypo Cement ready to go, even though it's like oozing, because you're going to need to do some like quick action. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to count. There's 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to hold them, and then I'm going to go back through all the coils. Okay, now you need to feed this end somehow. That's pretty easy. It's going to be that same ring. And so now let's switch hands here. So what you need to do is take this end and then feed it back through this way to help lock in that ring. So let's, okay, now, okay, what you want to do is just pretend like this part isn't in here. And we're going to tighten this just like we tightened all the other ones. And at this point, since there's 4 loops in there, you just want to be extra like careful when you tighten it to make sure the rings don't like overlap on each other. So we're just going to like tighten it just like we did the other one. So you just kind of like tap it as you're tightening it. See, like I have the cord here and I'm pulling it while I'm tapping on it. And it just really helps keep those coils nice and aligned. I'm going to keep pulling and squeezing. And I want to get as snug as I can get it. Okay, so now We're going to pull this, and it's going to, see that? It's getting smaller and smaller. And then when, I don't know, when it's when this distance here is about, because you'll know that, because this part is going to be inside the knot, so that's where you want to like put your glue. So let's tighten this a little bit more. And then I'm going to put my glue right. Oh my god, stuff is tricky. I mean, the thing is, it does kind of dry really fast. So we're going to put this right in here. I know it says don't squeeze it, but you know what? I'm squeezing it a little bit. Okay, so that way when I pull on this, it gets that glue in there. Okay, so right there. And then another thing you can do is like right in there, you could also put a little, oh my goodness. Let me clean the tip off. Is this this glue, the fresher it is, the better. Okay. And I'm going to leave it on standby here and just wipe it off because we're going to need it in just a second. So I'm just going to like kind of squeeze it. All's good. And then with these clippers, just really carefully come in and make sure that you don't nip any of the surrounding leather, because there's been a lot of times where I just accidentally nipped this part, but you just want to come in and just right there. Perfect. And now we've got these coil knots. So the next thing we need to do is attach the pendant. So let me, and the important thing to know about the pendant is that the hole needs to be like forward facing, and that's how you get it to work. And so now we've got this scrap of leather that we're going to use for the pendant. And let me see, how much do you need? So what I did, let me see, I did that, about that much. I'll tell you about. So cut off about 10.5 inches, just to be on the safe side. Or you can just go 10. I think 10 will be enough. Okay, let's put this stuff aside. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make kind of like a miniature multi-strand. Let me come in here. And you're going to need a couple of clips to hold it. And you know what? I think I think I also grabbed like just something like, I don't know, random, just to give it some height, but we'll see in a second. So I'm going to put this in here like this. See that? The ring and the pendant. And then I'm going to fold them over each other just like this. Actually, let's get it centered. Hang on. So it'll be like that. And let's get this clipped in here. Actually, I don't think I'll need that extra spool. And then on this side, you can clip this. And then another thing you could do, so this thing's not so like dangling, just get another clip. Just get, you can get like a scrap of cord. Let me grab a scrap of something. That's just because we just want this part to be like all even. And then with this leftover piece of leather, we're going to make a quadruple wrap coil knot. So you just hold your peg like this, and then you just wrap 1, 2, 3, 4. See that? 4. And then we're going to hold this, and then we're going to feed this side in this way. Can we get that in there? And then the other one is going to go in the other way. Okay. Now, at this point, one thing that I highly recommend before you take this off is that you need to find a way to identify these two cords, because we need to like tighten this middle part. So what I like to do is just to identify them is put a knot on each of these ends, so I know which one. Because there's been so many times where, I put it on, then I take it off, and I'm like, oh, which one do I need to pull? So, okay, so let me get this. Okay, now here is what we do next. So let me just do like a recap. I took that cord, I fed it through the ring, through the pendant, and then I just folded them over. And then I put a coil knot on top of those. And then the ends of the coil knot, I put these little knots as identifiers, because see, if I didn't put those little identifying knots on there, this whole thing would be like a mess. So then what you do is you take these two. Let's get these out of the way. And then you pull and see how it tightens it? And then you can kind of like loosen it up to like equalize it. And so now this, the coil knot has not been tightened. So that's where we need to come in and put some glue. All right, so we've got that space in there. And just like make sure that the space, you want it to be like that. You don't want this part to be inside the knot, just kind of, and you can tweak it in a bit. So, but let's get the glue in there. So we're going to come in with this glue. Oh my goodness. Yeah, working with this stuff is tricky. But it does work really well. I mean, I think the benefits outweigh the... Okay, it's coming. Just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether, well, it's in there because, it oozes like nonstop. So I think that's good. Okay, so now, remember those, we're going to tighten these little, okay, make sure everything looks good. Yep. And then we're going to tighten. Then you know that if the glue kind of oozes out a little bit, that's perfect. That means you put enough glue. Then what I would do, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off now, but wait about like 20 to 30 minutes. And that's because like you've sat there and you've tightened it, and then it starts to like stabilize itself, and it'll kind of like retract a little bit. So you want to make sure that before you cut anything off, because you don't want to cut it and then have it like retract and then the knot come apart. But as soon as the glue dries, I don't know, I think on the bottle or the container it says to wait 24 hours, but I am not that patient. So what you can do is use that time to try to get, oh, I did it. Okay, perfect. I'm impatient, so I'm just going to do it now. So when you take your cutters, just like I mentioned before, just be really, really careful. I don't want to. Okay, right there. Cut it right here. Perfect. And I'm just going to come in here. I'm not going to wait because, you know, I'm impatient. I'm so excited though. Okay. So there we have it. It is perfect, and it should be like right at 26 inches, which it is. Here's 13. 13 times 2 is 26. And look at that. It's perfect. And remember, for every, if you want to make it longer, just add like the inch plus 2 inches per knot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Oh, I love this. I'm going to wear it. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.